Have you ever had a situation where you're with other people and something comes out of your mouth which, upon hindsight, is pretty ridiculous, maybe even embarrassing? I remember a while back when I was just starting a vacation with my wife and my in-laws. And I was excited to show my in-laws the new office I had and the new position that I was holding. So I brought them up to the office building, and at that point, I went to open the door and the door was locked. Now, I was kind of surprised by that situation, but I was confident I had the solution because I pulled out the new keys that I had and I put them in that new office door and turned it to unlock it, and the door was still locked. And I said, "They've changed the locks." And I said it in such a dramatic way that it even surprised me. It was this thought as if the day before, when I had left to go on vacation, that everybody else where I was working had decided that the work I was doing was really, really subpar, and to just put an exclamation point on it, they were going to change the lock and make sure I could never get back in there again. I was surprised when I said they changed the locks with such passion, and I looked over at everybody else and I saw my father-in-law doing what was probably most appropriate to that situation. He was cracking up, laughing so hard. Hi, I'm Randy Lovejoy of randylovejoy.com, and this is another Under the Hood video where we test the assumptions underneath our opinions, underneath our views and our actions, so that we can make wiser and more strategic decisions in this crazy world in which we find ourselves. So where is it that those crazy ideas come from? Those ideas that, if we're honest, pop up in our minds more often than not in unexpected situations, and which thankfully only pop out of our mouths every once in a while. But when they do, they kind of come out of our mouths with such a passion. And then when we look at them in a little bit in the rearview mirror, we're like, really? Why did I think that? Well, where do those ideas come from? Well, they come from stories that we have in our minds. You know, we develop a group of stories out of the myriad of experiences we go through in life. And there's certain stories that we hold on to and we go back to again and again to give us a sense of meaning, again, a sense of identity, to give us a sense of forward movement. But they also give us an immediate way to interpret unexpected situations. And that's what was going on with me on that day. Now, it was obvious to everybody that I was insecure in that situation, but the question is, what was the story behind that insecurity? And as I thought about it after that event, as I thought about it a little bit, I realized I think it really all comes from when my parents were divorced when I was in high school, because my experience of that divorce was that it was unexpected, it was very quick, and it radically changed my life. And so the moral that I learned from that when I was in high school was, oh, this is the way life is. Everything can just blow up all of a sudden. In an unexpected way, you can lose your life. And so that's the way that I started to go through life, expecting situations where things that I had built would fall apart. Now, the great thing about naming stories and then figuring out what the moral of the story is that we can kind of test out the moral of the story and say, did I really get the point of that experience in my life? And it may have seemed as I was in high school and a couple of years into college that this was the right moral for the story. But now I'm 30 years on and I've had a chance to look back at that situation and say, you know what? That wasn't actually the moral of the story, because I've built a life since then that is a resilient life and a strong life, and it's been a good life. And so the moral of the story isn't, hey, watch out, everything could just fall apart when you least expect it. The moral of the story instead is, whenever I end up going through situations where my life is radically changed, I will be able to rebuild my life and make it through. And I actually have proof. That is my own life. And isn't that a far better way to walk through life and to create good in my own life and in my relationships and in my community? So I would encourage all of you to do the same thing, to take a moment to look under the hood of your assumptions, of the stories that you tell yourself over and over again, of the stories that you use for unexpected situations, and test them and see if you've got the moral of that story right. Just to conclude the story, I tried the key in the door lock one more time, and it actually opened the door that time. And so I took my in-laws in, I showed them my office, and then we left. I locked up again, and we headed out and had a wonderful vacation together. The only thing remaining from that story is the fact that, well, when the story is brought back up, my father-in-law tends to start laughing again. Anyway, I guess that's okay. I can handle it. I can take it. And what I know is in the future, I can walk through life in a way that's resilient, and we can rebuild even in a time like we find ourselves in, a time like this pandemic. Well, I am looking forward to sharing with you some more about stories on Friday, because we're going to talk a little bit about the fact that not only are you kind of stuck with the stories that you have in your little album of stories from your life, but you can actually add other stories into your life that will help guide and strengthen and direct, that will help you create even more good in your life. So we'll get on to that on the Friday Live at 12 noon. Hope you have an awesome Wednesday, and we will talk to you again soon.